On NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the headlines for this hour. For the first time, the IDF has ordered all residents to flee Beirut's southern suburbs as airstrikes intensify. This marks a massive escalation in the Lebanon front, with the military preparing for a full clearance operation. President Trump has declared he must be personally involved in selecting Iran's next supreme leader to ensure a settlement is reached. He rejected the late Ayatollah Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, as a lightweight, comparing the situation to his recent intervention in Venezuela. President Trump has replaced Kristi Noem with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen as Secretary of Homeland Security. Noem will transition to a new role as Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas Security Initiative. A U.S. trade court judge will hold a closed-door settlement conference on March 6th to discuss refunding of up to $175 billion in tariffs struck down by the Supreme Court. The meeting aims to establish an unprecedented administrative process for reimbursing more than 300,000 importers after the court ruled the president's use of emergency powers to levy the duties was unconstitutional. A coalition of 24 U.S. states filed a lawsuit on March 5, 2026 to halt President Trump's new 10% global tariffs, arguing the move illegally bypasses a recent Supreme Court ruling. The legal challenge contends that the administration's use of Section 122 of the Trade Act to address trade deficits is unconstitutional and will drive up costs for consumers by billions. The U.S. Treasury has granted India a 30-day emergency window to purchase stranded Russian oil cargoes. This temporary move aims to stabilize global energy markets as Middle East supplies remain largely paralyzed. Washington and Caracas have officially agreed to reestablish full diplomatic and consular relations following the ouster of Nicolas Maduro in January. The Trump administration is now fast-tracking sanctions relief to allow American energy companies to rebuild Venezuela's oil infrastructure and secure mineral access. Beijing has set its GDP target at 4.5% to 5.0%, its lowest in years, during the National People's Congress. Leaders cited the total collapse of energy supply chains as a primary risk to the domestic economy. And now for the top stories for this hour. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his utmost priority is to resolve the war in Iran first. But he has also suggested that it would only be a matter of time before the United States could turn its attention to Cuba next. Let's listen in to that statement.
But what's happening with Cuba is amazing. And we think that we want to finish this one first, but that will be just a question of time before you and a lot of unbelievable people are going to be going back to Cuba. Hopefully not to stay. We want you back, and we don't want to lose you. We don't want to make it so nice that they stay. But some people probably do want to stay. They love Cuba so much. I hear it all the time. That was another one that wasn't supposed to happen. Venezuela is going great. It's been stabilized. We have a wonderful person as your president-elect, Delcy Rodríguez, and she and her staff have been doing a fantastic job working with it.
While addressing the question of sending U.S. ground troops into Iran, President Trump has said that such a move is not under active consideration right now, further stressing that it would be a waste of time at this stage of the conflict. He has also dismissed warnings from Iranian leaders about the consequences of a potential ground invasion, noting that American forces have already achieved significant military advantages in Iran. At the same time, Trump has reaffirmed his assertion that he wants to have a role in shaping Iran's future leadership. And now joining us is Professor Veselin Popovsky, Professor and Vice Dean from the Jindal Global Law School, joining us from New Delhi. Sir, do you believe that Trump will essentially be able to revitalize Cuba's economy as well after this Iran conflict settles down? What are your thoughts, please?
Well, ultimately, it's about leadership and what regime Cuba will have. No, Donald Trump is not revitalizing anything. That's nonsense. He's not absolutely interested in any other thing that of himself. He can only make money but doesn't give anything to anybody. So there is no humanitarian expectation. There is nothing, very much to expect from that. Nothing philanthropic ever. He has never done anything. He has never donated a penny to anything. So there is no point of listening even to Donald Trump to that. But when he talks about Cuba, obviously, first and foremost, it's about the Cuban leadership. Exactly, and he links that to Venezuela because the change of the president of Venezuela, apparently good news. On that one, I would agree that the current president is much better than the previous one. Nicolas Maduro was really a dictator who sent all the political opponents into exile or in prison. Now we have some normalization in Venezuela, and I guess that's the same that should happen. I don't know whether it will happen, but what should happen in Cuba is a leadership that is a responsible one, that takes care of its people in terms of economy, in terms of management, doesn't violate human rights, doesn't engage in any ideological fights against anybody. So yes, a better leadership in Cuba is most welcome, mostly for the Cuban people, not for Donald Trump. It's for the Cuba. And the same applies to Iran, absolutely. When Donald Trump says that he will be involved in the choice of the next leader, that's another nonsense. It's for the Iranian people to select, and they have elections, they select presidents already. The issue in Iran is to have, again, a leadership that is a responsible one, that doesn't support terrorists in Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and everywhere else. And it is an open and transparent so that it doesn't give suspicions to think they are developing nuclear weapons. People of Iran and people of Cuba should elect their next leadership, and hopefully that leadership is better than the current one. And that's my opinion. I don't really care what Donald Trump says. Donald Trump say one thing today and the other thing tomorrow. He doesn't know what he says. He doesn't know what he means. For that matter, it's difficult to comment on what Donald Trump says.
Okay. Please stay with us, sir. We'll be right back with you. Speaking at the UN Security Council convening for March, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright has criticized the Iranian regime for its history of spreading chaos and instability around the world. During a session on energy and critical minerals, Wright has reiterated President Trump's strong position against Iran, stressing that the U.S. is committed to preventing the success of Iran's brutal regime and its policies. Let's listen in to his statements.
I cannot sit before you today without speaking about the challenges posed by the Iranian regime. For 47 years, this brutal dictatorship has spread chaos, death, and instability around the world, threatening international peace and economic opportunity for so many. It is only fitting that the United States is chairing the Security Council at this moment, because confronting challenges like this requires real leadership. President Trump has been clear on Iran. Iran's brutal regime will not prevail. Together, we have confronted it, and together, we will defeat it.
And now joining us live again is Professor Veselin Popovsky, Professor and Vice Dean from the Jindal Global Law School, joining us from New Delhi. Sir, to what extent do you believe in this statement that we just heard? Could you maybe list out one or two instances, or maybe even more, where Iran has essentially spread terror? Please.
Well, Iran spread terror many times through its proxies like Hezbollah, like Hamas, like the Houthis. And by the response to the US-Israeli attack a week ago, yes, Iran is hitting its neighbors, the Arab neighbors, the Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and also in Lebanon, mostly Hezbollah, acting very much as a proxy of Iran, continues to fire rockets into Israel. So yes, that's why the whole thing is about those support that Iran gives several. Yes. So for that matter, yes, the regime change is important in Iran. To ensure that terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and others. And the secretary was correct because the energy infrastructure is important. The export of oil is important out of the Strait of Hormuz. And for that matter, yes, definitely, United States and Israel and other countries will make sure that Iran does not jeopardize the export of oil. The tankers should go through the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, it's the freedom of trade. China, by the way, is very interested in that too. China is a significant player here because it also buys a lot of oil from those countries in the Gulf. So yes, everything should be made clear that first and foremost, Iran doesn't support terrorist organizations. Second, that Iran doesn't develop nuclear weapons. Third, that Iran doesn't jeopardize free trade by blocking the Strait of Hormuz. And fourth, that Iran doesn't violate human rights. And that's also a big issue. They killed 30,000 protesters a month ago, which is obviously another huge problem with this regime. So we need a new regime in Iran. It's absolutely clear that the Ayatollah who was gone was probably a brutal and dictatorial murderer, and he must go. But Iran now is for the Iranian people, nobody else. The Iranian people need to find the next leadership. And if the next leader is the same as the previous Ayatollah, obviously the war will continue. You know, there could be 5 more Ayatollahs, but if they do exactly the same as Ali Khamenei, they will be killed by Israel and United States until the 6th one comes and finally makes Iran a normal country that, as I said, doesn't support terrorism, that doesn't develop nuclear weapons and threaten its neighbor, that doesn't jeopardize foreign trade, and that doesn't violate human rights. We need a normal Iranian leadership, and the war will stop there. Simple. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Next up, China is in talks with Iran to allow safe passage for crude oil and Qatari liquefied natural gas vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. The strait has become a crucial flashpoint as the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran enters its 6th day, shutting down a key global shipping route. China, which relies heavily on Middle Eastern supplies, is pressuring Iran to let vessels pass. The conflict has caused a 15% spike in crude oil prices and led to significant disruptions in shipping. About 300 oil tankers remain trapped in the strait as Iran attacks energy facilities and ships crossing the waterway. Now, joining us is retired Major General Sudhakarji. He's a senior strategic and international affairs expert. He's joining us live from Jaipur. Sir, do you believe that if China essentially makes these requests and these claims, that they're also singling themselves out and putting themselves in the line of fire from the U.S.? What are your thoughts?
Not really, not really. Roshan, good morning. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking me for your show. And there are multiple issues linked with this. Singling out means it is the only country which is revered with a lot of heartburns by USA, and it is respected, and there is very little that USA can do anything against China. Okay, so when I say this, what it means is that China has got more than one leverage which it can exploit, twist the tail. For example, rare earth element, more than 90% of dominance is enjoyed by China the world over. Whether it is the upstream, the midstream, or the downstream segment, be it the processing or production, machinery, and so all these things are enjoyed by this particular country, that is China. And also, within the rare earth element, there are critical technologies. Things like, if I give out a name, it should not surprise, it's called neodymium. Neodymium is such a kind of a critical mineral without which your Teslas won't move, F-15 can't fly, and more than anything else is the data centers, they will go dark. And what is happening in Iran and Israel, the Iron Dome won't function. Why Iron Dome won't function? Because Iron Dome is functioning and it is effective by virtue of the interceptors. And interceptors, to neutralize one drone, which is manufactured at a cost of $20,000 by Iran, they have to fire at least 2 to 3 interceptors or missiles. Each of these interceptor or missile costs around $4 million. So when you compare 4 into 3, $12 million against $20,000, look at the price variation, the ratio. Even if you take only one interceptor, it's costing almost 200 times the cost of a drone. And manufacturing time takes anything between 1.5 to 2. So rather than digressing, what I'm trying to highlight is that China as a country today, it is not going to be on the line of fire. Nobody dare fire at China. It has got that clout, it has got the gravitas, it has got the weightage to load things into its vessels and ship and sail across Strait of Hormuz. Another thing I want to clarify, Roshan, is that much of the primary mainstream media, national and international, nobody seems to be highlighting one important. Strait of Hormuz is not closed by Iran. This has to be understood. They haven't done it. They might have inadvertently. I think the foreign minister or somebody made a statement that it is closed in the heat of things, but they haven't. What has compelled the vessels to stay wherever they are is because the insurance companies, that is called P&I, all the insurance companies who give the cover of wartime sailing in the conflict zone, they have suddenly pulled back, they have withdrawn the insurance. So in absence of insurance amount goes, it has taken a jump from 0.25% to 0.5% of the value of the vessel or the ship, which comes to roughly around $375,000 to $400,000. Now, with withdrawal of this insurance document, the vessels have stopped moving. They have put their anchors down. That is the main issue which the media is failing to cover. I think, as per my research, I feel that we are actually pointing a finger at Iran, and sooner or later, as it is, the whole world is turning against Iran, much against the very entitlement of surviving as a nation state. That is what actually has to be conveyed. So therefore, I hope I have answered your question, that Iran, without getting into the face of fire, it will sail through. And as per my assessment, US dare not do anything to its free passage of vessels carrying oil, because 83.6% of oil of energy security of China is imported from outside, and from this place, that is from Iran, they import something between 13 to 14% on daily basis. So from the Middle East, it goes beyond that, around 60 to 70% is important. Around 50 to 60%. So therefore, in absence of this regular flow of energy, China is going to dry up completely. They claim that they have got a stock strategic reserve of 90 days, but How long will it last is just because their economy is just, it guzzles up fuel in no time. They have far-reaching, very extended connectivity issues, and this will dry up in no time. If the conflict goes beyond a particular limit, it becomes a big problem. And my research is to be respected because it is not 90 days. China, as on today, has got 1.3 billion barrels of oil, which meets the requirement of 4 months. America has got 419 million barrels. That also meets the requirement of USA for 4 months. So both these countries, they meet each other the respective requirement for 4 months. But beyond 4 months, it will become very challenging and problematic. Back to you, Roshan.
Sir, please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Okay.
Next up, Venezuela has committed to a new stage in its relations with the United States, emphasizing mutual respect after both nations agreed to restore diplomatic ties. In a statement released by the Venezuelan Foreign Ministry, the interim... One second here. The interim government, led by Delcy Rodríguez, reaffirmed its willingness to engage in constructive dialogue based on mutual respect, sovereign equality, and cooperation. The U.S. State Department also confirmed the restoration of diplomatic and consular relations, marking a thaw in relations since former President Nicolas Maduro was ousted. This step is aimed at promoting stability, supporting Venezuela's economic recovery, and advancing political reconciliation with a focus on peaceful transition to a democratically elected government. Now, joining us live again is retired Major General Sudhakar Ji. Sir, are you there live with me, joining us from Jaipur? Fantastic,
Yes.
sir.
Yes,
My
sir.
question is, thank you. Sir, my question is essentially what we've seen the U.S. do with Iran would really narrow down countries' confidence against going against the U.S. Do you believe that this is what's happened with Venezuela and will continue to happen with other nations who don't strike deals with the U.S., that they'll be coerced into signing deals? Let me know your thoughts, please.
Unfortunately, yes, because the good old saying, Thucydide doctrine. What did he say? He said something very interesting. He said that the strong will do what it can, the weak will suffer what it must. What it means is might is right. It is unfortunate that despite all awareness and the social media platforms and connectivity having improved, the global geopolitical transformation, which was expected, anticipated, much against the anticipated status, something else is being experienced. Uh, the might is going to be right because no superpower will ever allow any rising power to come anywhere close to its footing. This has to be understood. No superpower would like to lose its supremacy and authority. The USA is no exception. Although people keep circulating in the social media that every superpower has got a year duration of so many years, 100 years or 200 years. Well, uh, given the expression that I have shared, USA will go all out to assert its dominance and make sure that the dominance of dollar, which once upon a time at its peak was 86%, it came down to 54% as an international currency sometime during pandemic. Now it is bounced back to 58%, it's stabilized around there. Despite the debt it has, 168 to 170% of debt to GDP ratio, 38 trillion US dollar, it will still try to assert itself and continue its dominance all over the world, push back China as much as possible. And keeping this particular factor in mind, not only in Venezuela, it will also try the same thing, extend the same philosophy and the concept and the doctrine against countries like Cuba, smaller countries which have smaller armies. They do not have adequate means and method to defend themselves and defend their sovereignty and territorial integrity. So such countries will witness this kind of thing, in my assessment, 2026 is going to be a very, very horrendous kind of a year. You will keep witnessing after Iran, it will be they will be failing, because my assessment has predicted that they will create a second Vietnam if they don't actually, uh, make amends to their approach. They haven't actually known Iran, although a lot of media platforms have started reflecting the weaknesses of Iran. It's not that easy to change the regime. It's not that easy to change the governor or the ruling dispensation there and put your own people and convert whatever that 47-year of theocratic society into a democratic society. It requires a sustained, prolonged effort. But elsewhere, to answer your question, they will definitely try and assert and put their dominance, their footprint in, and next could be Cuba. Don't be surprised. Back to you, Roshan.
Thank you so much for those insights, sir. We'll talk again soon.